All right, hello there. Welcome back to our Fit Essentials Basics class. If you are using any B3 bands or any kind of blood flow restriction bands, we've already added some air. Get my words under me here. And we are going to be starting down on the floor today. So I told those there live. And now I'm going to head on down to the floor. We're going to be doing some low back stretching, some abdominal work, and some back of the body glute activation. So go ahead and gradually make your way down onto your lower back. As you come on down to the floor, pay attention to your upper body. So our shoulders tend to splay out from us. So you can roll towards one side of the body, really pull those shoulder blades back and down, and then roll towards the other side and pull that other shoulder back and down so that when you are lying on your back, you can have your chest as broad as possible. Now we can readjust the hips a little bit. So kind of push your feet to the ground, maybe readjust those hips, drawing the stomach in and just getting everything nice and even. From here, we're going to walk the feet so they're about just outside the hips, or if you have a yoga mat there on the floor, about the width of your yoga mat. And we'll gradually move into our windshield wipers, lowering your knees towards one side of the body, nice and smooth, and then take both knees across to the other side of the body. Looking to keep the hips on the floor and just some nice gentle internal rotation and external rotation. Very good. Get about 3 touches or so on each side of the body. And then we're going to start to move into what we call our abdominal bracing next. So walk the feet in just a little bit closer so that they're inside the mat or right about hip width apart. And now if you'd like, you can take your hands. If you want to slide one hand underneath your low back, and then you can set the other hand on top of your belly or on the hips. And what we're going to focus on is that abdominal draw, meaning that you draw the belly in. If your hand is under that low back, you want to try to push your spine into that hand and try to do so without holding the breath. So I kind of feel the abdominal draw in, and then it's a bracing motion. So as you pull the belly in, you kind of want to also feel the belly pushing out as those muscles work, and you continue to breathe. Anytime you need a little bit of a break, relax, allow the hips to roll forward. Take a moment out of that position, and then when you're ready, roll the hips back, draw the belly in, smashing that hand to the floor or just pushing your back into the floor. Keep the knees pushing out, and then we'll gradually relax. Maybe one more time. Draw the belly in, pushing that low back into the floor, and then go ahead and rest. From there, if you do have that hand under the lower spine, slide it out. We're going to work into our bridge work next. So everything is very similar to what we just did. You draw the stomach in, and now you're going to slowly start to push through the feet. Raise the hips up. Not trying to prove anything on this first set. Try to think about staying long for that lower back, and then nice and gradual, you'll lower back down to the floor. High moose. Once again, pushing through the feet. Hips rise up. Knees push out. Fantastic. So it's almost like a similar leg position to our squatting, where we don't want the knees to dive in on the up or the down. And while we're focused on pushing through the heels, similar thing to what I talked to you about when we do our squatting, try to find that big toe and see if you can feel that big toe pushing down into the floor as well. Breathing out as the hips rise up, breathing in as you gradually lower the spine down to the floor. Take about another 20 seconds to practice this. There's no need to try to force any positions here. We want to avoid any kind of pinching sensations. Sometimes we'll get a little bit of a pinch in the low back. Sometimes we'll get a little bit of a pinch in the front of the hips. So alter that range of motion so you can stay out of that pinching sensation. After you finish that next rep, go ahead and hug those legs back into the chest. Or not back in. We did windshield wipers. Now we're going to move into that double kneaded chest, hugging the legs in and rocking side to side. And then Moose wants to chew on my toes. Hi, Moose. Still a puppy. But maybe it won't stop after that. Who knows? Nice and gentle here. Loosen up that lower back. Okay, buddy, that's not the right spot. We're going to go back to that abdominal draw after you loosen up that double kneaded chest. You can't breathe. Nope. So as a reminder of the abdominal draw, you're going to have a similar position of the feet as our bridge. So feet flat on the ground. This time, don't worry about that hand underneath that low back. Just remember what that feels like. And then when you're ready, you're going to roll the hips back, push that lower spine into the floor, If you felt pretty confident with that position last time and you want to advance the movement, we'll add what we call our heel slide. You can start with your right leg with the stomach drawn in, low back pushing the floor nice and slow. You can slide that heel out, looking to extend that right leg. And then again, focusing on that lower spine, holding everything neutral as you slide the leg back in. Good. And we'll go about 3 times on the right leg, and then we'll switch, extending that leg, sliding it up, sliding it down, and just watch the tendency to hold the breath. I want you to continue to breathe as you move and hold that bracing position. Wonderful. That's 3 for me on that right leg. After you finish 3 on the right, you need to take a little bit of a break out of the brace. And then I'll draw the belly back in, pushing that low back into the floor, and now moving into my left leg, sliding the heel out on the floor, and then gradually sliding it back up. 3 times or so on this side. This is a great exercise to help prevent lower back pain, or anytime I've been in any kind of like a low back flare. I always go to these, they call them like abdominal hollows or the abdominal draw, because a lot of times it's a lack of activation of that lower core, and we lose that stability of that lower spine. Once you finish the heel slides on the second side, just give a short break, and then we'll go into our second round of our bridge practice. All right, when you're ready, we'll take about 90 seconds here to finish it out. Rolling the spine back into the floor, but now pushing through the heels, raising the hips up towards your ceiling or sky if you get to be outside today. And I have my arms out at the sides, palms down towards the floor, so I can add a little extra support by pushing the upper body into the floor, raising the hips up, drawing the chin in, keeping those knees pushing wide. Fantastic. I tend to breathe in as the hips lower back down, and then breathe out as you raise those hips up. Try to focus on staying long through that lower spine. So as I raise the hips up, I want to imagine my lower spine lengthening. Good. Just over 30 seconds left. And now while we've been focused on that like back side of the body, you can also draw some attention to like that lower pelvis area, all those small muscles of your pelvic floor, kind of clenching through there without holding the breath, imagining that you have to go to the bathroom really bad and you can't quite get to the bathroom yet. So holding strong, keeping all those small muscles engaged as well. The older we get, the more important that is, but it's even important at a young age. Maybe one more time here. Raise those hips up, squeeze the back of the body. Fantastic job. And then slowly lower on down. Ah, wonderful. All right, return to that double knee to chest. Hug those legs back in. Nice little rock side to side. And if you feel like you'd like to go deeper into this low back stretch, you can move into what we call our 2-knee twist. So I'll keep my legs together. I can splay my arms out to the side. I can imagine like I'm a scarecrow lying on my back. And then nice and slow, I can bring my knees across together to one side of the body as I turn my head, look over the opposite shoulder. And just see how far you want to go into that twist. And then sweep the legs up and across, same thing, other side. Ensure that you also turn the head and neck over the other shoulder. Good. If you're moving to that 2-knee twist, let's go anywhere between 2 and 3 times each direction. And then once we loosen up this low back, we're going to make our way up to standing. Ah, beautiful. All right, even out both sides of the body. And then when you're ready, you can roll yourself over, coming to hands and knees, using a chair or whatever you need to get up to standing. If you're able to go into down dog and move your way from there. Otherwise, I'm just going to demo off the box here, pushing through the surface, working that foot forward and making your way up to standing. All right. When you get there, I'm going to let the dog out. So 1 second. Good job, Moose. Thanks for being patient. And then just have a chair nearby as well if you'd like to use that throughout. So I'm going to grab a drink. We're going to be working our upper body and our lower body. In this next piece, we're going to have some overhead work, but we're going to loosen up just a little bit from standing first. So as you're getting a drink, go ahead and kind of circle those hips around, start to loosen up that low back from standing. And then when you're ready, rotate the other way. Fantastic. All right. So we're going to be doing an overhead press. If you're really stiff through the shoulders, you don't have to use any weight here. Otherwise, have like a nice light to moderate dumbbell. You're going to bring that weight up to the shoulders. Go ahead and walk those feet in so all the toes are pointing forward. And then with a nice soft bend in the knee, I like to take my non-working hand and just rest it on my abdomen. This is just going to give a little bit more awareness that I'm not arching that spine as I press to overhead. When you're ready, draw the chin in, and we're going to press straight up to overhead. Elbow points forward as you lower. Squeeze the tush and flex those thighs as you use this upper body here. Breathing out as you elevate up, breathing in as you lower on down. Wonderful. Good, maybe one or two more. Up, down, up. Trying to elevate that shoulder towards the ear. And then when you're ready, we're going to switch sides. Hand on the stomach. Draw that chin in so you're nice and long through your spine. And then now your second arm. As you lower down, elbow point straight forward as you press up. This is our first of 3 rounds. So you're going to have time to add weight or increase weight as you choose later on. Breathing out as you raise up, breathing in as you lower down. Fantastic. Good. And then try not to let that elbow drop back so much, Amy. Try to keep it up and forward. Try to keep the elbow like in front of your torso in the bottom position. Good. Maybe one more time. Bringing it down, raise up, and take a rest. Good job. Next, we're going to be warming up those hips and knees for some squatting. So I'm going to use my chair here. If you feel confident in your squat, you don't have to use the chair, but this really helps to get a deeper range of motion if you're fairly limited through your hips and knees. I'm walking my feet out, not super wide. I don't want to be outside my hips, but right about hip width apart and just a very gentle toe out. And then from here, when you're ready, I can hold on or reach those arms out, sending my hips back, keeping the eyes and chest up, looking forward, and then drive down through those feet, standing tall. Wonderful. Breathing in as you send those hips back, pushing those knees out. On this first set here, we're focused a bit more on like our range of motion than we are on that speed. Wonderful. Halfway through, breathing in, sitting back, draw that stomach in, all that work we just practiced on the ground. We want to incorporate that now into our movements. So feel the stomach draw in, holding those hips nice and neutral. Final time. And take a pause. Good. From here, we're going to do a little toe touch stretch next. And we'll turn it into a windmill next round. Walking the feet in, standing tall, draw the stomach in. With that soft bend the knees, lower your chin to your chest, and then allow your spine to gently round as you stay engaged through the belly and the legs. Finding where your range of motion is at this moment. You find that bottom position, breathe 1 or 2 times into the back of the body. On that next inhale, start to come back up. Very good. All right, a little side to side twist. Once you come back to standing, that's the end of set 1. We're gonna do it 3 more times. As you move back into that overhead press. Now, if you didn't use weight on that first round, or if you want to use a little bit of a heavier weight on the second round, go ahead and make your way into that now. If you have a dominant arm and a non-dominant arm, try to start on the side that's not quite as strong. Elbow up and forward, draw that stomach in, and when you're ready, pressing straight up to overhead. Elbow forward. Move a little bit faster if you'd like here. You can stay with what we call a strict press, meaning we don't have any assist of the legs, or if you want to add a little bit more action to the legs, give a little assist at upper body, you can turn it what we call a push press. We go in that little quarter squat, back into the heels, knees push out, and then as I stand tall, I push up to overhead. Last one. And switch. Go ahead and take that weight to the opposite arm. Midline in. And when you're ready, I'm going to show that strict press first. But if you prefer that push press, you're welcome to it. Little to no movement through that head and neck. Feel like that chin is in. And then remember to flex that lower body, squeeze the tush, engage the thighs. If you want to add that little quarter squat, 10 seconds left. Sometimes it's helpful in the quarter squat to reach that non-working arm out and encourage that chest to stay tall. And take a pause. Great job. We're going to go back to our squatting. You can even do a sit and stand here if you prefer to have a little bit faster tempo, or if you feel a little uncertain about your squat. Otherwise, when you're ready, you can also hold some weight, sitting back, standing tall, knees push out, arms reach out. On the last round, if you want to add weight to your squats, if you're not already, you can add weight. It's always important to make sure you feel confident in the movement pattern before you start to add weight to the movements. Wonderful, 10 seconds. Practice that knee position, pushing the knees out, pushing the big toe into the floor as you drive through the feet. Final time, and resting there. Great job. We worked that toe touch position on the last round. Now we're gonna practice what's called a windmill. You're gonna walk your feet just outside the hips. I want you to establish a little bend into those knees. Anchor those feet down. Spread your arms nice and wide. And now with a long spine, send those hips back, reach your hand to the opposite leg. Squeeze the glutes as you stand tall. So we're bowing down, hinging at the hips like a door hinge. Squeeze the tush as you stand up. And then just see where your body wants to go. If you want to reach a little bit farther each time, down to the knee or the shin, making your way to your ankle if you can hold a good position. Nothing to prove, nothing to force. Squeeze the back of that body, squeeze that tush as you stand upright. And be one more time, over and up. Fantastic. All right, a little side step arm swing. Take a short break here, and then we're going to go back for one more time with that overhead press to start. Good. All right, when you're ready, start to find the weight you want to use for this last time through. And now I'm going to show the push press for the whole set this time. Give a little bit more activation for those legs. Elbows pointing up and forward. Walk those feet in just underneath the hips. And 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Little quarter squat, drive to overhead. Breathing in as you sit back, breathing out as you drive up. Beautiful. Here you go. Good, Shirley. Straight up towards that ceiling. Opening those shoulders. Nice job, Amy. If you are doing that little dip and drive with me, make sure you keep those eyes looking forward. Help that chest to stay tall. Good. And 3, 2, 1. Switching arms. Taking that weight to the other side of the body. Give yourself a moment. Ready. And here we go. Down and up. Breathing in, sitting back, breathing out, driving tall. Sometimes we tend to push out to the side. I want you to think about trying to bring that weight right over the center of your head. Good. Still squeezing that tush as you stand tall. Flex those thighs. Wonderful. 10 seconds. We're going to our squats next. 2, 1, and transition. If you want to still hold the weight, you can. I'm going to show without the weight. Using the chair once again. If you're ready, go ahead and begin. Otherwise, get into position, set the feet. You can hold on here. And now I'm going to send those hips back. A lot of times we do our little half squats. Today we're focusing more on our full range. It's important to have a little bit of both. We do those faster squats to kind of get a little bit bigger pump into the thighs. But we do this fuller range work to keep those joints nice and lubricated, nice and open. Good. You can use that upper body as able to help pull yourself up. Help sink on down. Fantastic. About 10 seconds left. Knees push wide, heels drive down. Just imagining pushing straight down to the floor. Let's go one more time. Sinking back. Breathe out as you drive up and resting there. Good job. Windmills. Windmills to finish. So if you were using weights, set it aside. Walk those feet outside the hips. Really draw up through the middle. And now anchor into those feet. Flexing down. Spread those arms wide, squeezing those shoulder blades back. And then when you're ready, long spine, push the hips back as you reach the opposite side of the body. Good. Breathe in, reach across. Breathe out, squeeze the tush and stand tall. Nice and steady here. Over and up. Good. Over, standing tall. Rest breaks coming. Maybe one more on each side. Reach, squeeze, down, and up. Fantastic. Walk those feet in. We're using the bands. You can go ahead and release the air. Let's grab a drink of water. And then meet me seated, either on the floor in a chair. We're going to open up our hips before the last one. And I forgot to say it at the start of class, we're going to be doing some step-ups in the next section. So if you have a little step stool to use, if you have like a bench or a tabletop that you can securely step on, you can go ahead and bring that into your area. But first, we're gonna get some good movement through that mid back, starting with our seated cat-cow. As you're sitting here, I'm gonna go ahead and just pull these off. You are wearing the bands, if you wanna strip them off, sometimes that makes it a little bit easier for these seated stretches. Alrighty. On down. So for that seated cat-cow, make sure you're sitting up on your sit bone. So all I mean is there's those bones in the bottom of your tush. Those are intended to be sat on. There we go. That's going to help keep your lower back in a good position and avoid that slouching position, which flexes our lower spine. So I'm going to sit tall, hands onto the knees, moving into our cat-cow here. So as I breathe out, I'm going to draw the belly in, roll those shoulders forward as you tuck your chin down to the chest. And then breathing in, slide those hands up to the pockets, draw those shoulders back, and just gently lift the chin. Good. About 3 to 4 more times. Shoulders forward, chin down. Shoulders draw back. Just a soft lift. So I'm just kind of, those of you seated, I'm looking up towards where the wall of the house meets the ceiling. Good job. Remember this movement anytime you feel stiff in that low back or that mid back, especially forward and lift and relax from there. Good job. If you happen to be on all fours for that cat-cow, go ahead and come into a seated position. We're going to go our tricep stretch next. Chin in, raise one arm up to overhead, just like that overhead press. And now as you keep that chin drawn back, we're going to bend the elbow, reach the hand around. Sit as tall as you can to that spine as you pull that elbow back behind you. If you need to, set the feet a little bit wider. And if you feel okay in this position, you can go a little bit deeper with that side bend, bending away from the side that you're stretching. Breathing in as you lengthen the body, chin in, a gentle exhale as you bend away from that side. Let's go one more time. If you want, you can add a little rotation here. So I'll peer up, rotate, try to look up past the side that I'm stretching. And then unwind from there. Release those hands down, shake those shoulders out, and then we'll go to the opposite arm. Sitting up tall, reach up high, bend, around, draw the elbow back, draw the chin in. And then as you choose, bending away. Our muscles are all interconnected, have this substance called our fascia. It's kind of like a saran wrap that wraps around all of our muscles. It embodies our nerves, our blood vessels, our veins, all that stuff. And we need to keep all that fascia sliding and moving. Good. Add that little rotation, peering up. Stretching helps, but I also like to kind of keep our stretching a little bit more active to help keep all that fascial material moving as well. Go ahead and shake out those arms. And now we're going to move into our hips stretch. So we're going to go a glute stretch next. If you are on the floor, you can lie on your back for this. You're going to interlace the hands, draw the knee towards the chest. If you're seated here in the chair, we're going to cross that foot over the opposite side, readjust the hands, and now we're looking to draw the knee towards the opposite hip. So I'm hugging my left leg and I'm drawing it towards my right hip. If you're mirroring me, it probably would be your right leg. Stay tall here. Draw the chin in. And this is a good opener for the mid back as well, those seated. So you're really opening through the chest as you squeeze those shoulders back. It kind of mimics the seated row that we do from time to time. Good. And then when you're ready, we'll transition that same side into a figure four. So you're going to have that ankle pulling it up onto the thigh as much as you can, and then just nice and slow, invite that knee to lower down. Sometimes the stretching can be more painful, but we don't want it to be. It's a little bit more risky to be painful in your stretching. So kind of find the edge of that range of motion and then just invite your body to open through that area. Good. When you're ready, coming out of that side, same thing on that opposite side. Lift on up, interlace the hands, draw that leg in towards the chest, cross over. And now we're inviting that knee towards that opposite shoulder or opposite hip, however you want to think about it. The whole idea is to open up this outer hip region. Good. Remember that opening chest, nice broad chest, working that mid-back posture at the same time that we open the hips. And then best as able, making your way into figure four, holding on to that ankle, repositioning that knee. And I like to use the same side hand to just lightly rest on the knee, inviting it to lower on down. Good. Take about another 20 seconds here. And then we're going to be making our way back up to standing to work our step ups. We've also got a little bit of balance work in this next piece. We're going to work our sway steps, swaying our weight from one foot to the other. All right, when you're ready, go ahead and unwind yourself from figure four. If the water glass is convenient, let's grab one more drink of water. Keep that hydration going. It's always harder for me, at least in the winter time. I'm not as drawn to drink water. I want to drink warm substances all day. So one of my tricks is I heat up my water, add a little bit of lemon, and it's a lot easier to keep that hydration going. All right. So as you come on up to standing, again, if you have that step stool, I'm going to be showing off this lower step. And if you're a little bit unsteady, it's great if you can stand like near have a chair that you can balance on. Putting your step right behind a couch or somewhere like that is also helpful. We're going to have a full minute on one leg. We'll loosen up the hips in between sides and then a full minute on the other leg. So starting in 10 here, if you're not familiar, I'll kind of talk you through it as we go. You want to pick that foot up, start on your non-dominant side. If you have one side that gives you more trouble, start on that side. So when you're ready, you'll get as much of your foot onto your step as you can. Reach those arms out in front or support as needed. And then just like we practiced with the squats, pushing down through that foot, coming all the way up to standing. Come off the step and then back on. Reach those arms up. Pull the belly in as you come up to standing and stepping back. Nice. Step it forward, pulling through, stepping back. So some areas to focus on. That knee, that tricky knee. We don't want it to dive in. Sometimes it will dive in on the up, but then sometimes we start to lose focus as we come off the step. It's really common for that knee to want to sink in as we lower down, as I just demoed there. That's what we want to avoid. So if we push that big toe down, that's going to help that ankle position. And then it's like a chain effect up the body. What you're doing at the ankle impacts the knee. What you're doing at the knee impacts the hip, and so on. Final time, everyone. Pull through, squeeze that tush, standing all the way up, and then coming off. All right, we'll take a short break here. Just give a little hip circle once again, 3 to 5 times. Good, circle the hips the other way. And then we're gonna make our way to that second leg. Should be your more dominant side. All right. So when you're ready, second leg, pick that foot up, press it down, pulling through and stepping off. And now you know your ability, so you can move as slow or as fast as you need, just like we spoke about before. We want to have strong mechanics before we have speed. Squeeze that tush, stand as tall as you can up on that step, pull those shoulders back, and then coming down. Nice. Good job, Shirley. Nice work, Amy. So we've given a lot of focus to the knee. The other area that we can focus on is the hips. So as we draw the stomach in, it helps stabilize through the hips, because sometimes what happens is as we go to step up, that hip kicks out. So we want to keep the hips square, avoid any irritation through the hips, the lower spine, as you're climbing stairs. Good. We are over halfway. I kind of lost track of where we started. I apologize. Let's go about another 15 to 20 seconds. What do I always tell you? If you mess up, just kind of laugh at yourself. It doesn't have to be perfect, but we're moving and grooving here. All right, 1 or 2 more. 2, 1, and take a pause. All right, move into an area that you can spread your arms nice and wide. And moving through the legs, working our sway positioning next. I'm gonna walk my feet about hip width apart, spread those arms nice and wide, squeezing those shoulders back. And then when you're ready, you're gonna shift your weight. You can come onto one leg if you're comfortable, holding for just a moment, or just shifting your weight to that side. In between sides, lower on down, relax those arms and lift on up. It's a little bit cheesy, but I always kind of feel like I'm like Peter Pan, Tinkerbell. So I'm like on the stage, I got a little harness and they're just gonna lift me up. I'm gonna fly off the mat, breathe in between sides, breathe out as you lift on up. We're simply practicing adjusting the center of gravity from one side to the other, helping to prevent falls. Woo! Helping to practice that balance. If you are coming up on that one leg, squeeze the tush. Even if you keep that toe down, you can try to fire that tush or that leg that you're shifting away from. Let's get about 1 more time on each direction. Over to one side, lift, breathing in and breathing out and lifting up the other way. Wonderful. All right, shake it out. Let's grab a drink of water. Then we're going to go 1 more time through that same sequence, starting back on the step ups. All right, I'll make sure not to lose track of time this time. We're going to start in 15 seconds. Working those step ups. Remember to start on your more challenging side. If you're not sure, it's okay. Just pick a side to start on. All right. Picking that foot up. Get as much of that foot up on that step as possible. And here we go, pulling through. Think about pushing straight down into your step. Keeping those eyes up and forward, using the upper body as needed. Breathing out as you stand tall, breathing in as you lower down. Super. Good. Stepping back and stepping up. That's our halfway, helping keep myself on track here. As you start to get a little bit more fatigued, make sure you're still drawing that stomach in. Don't let those hips start to sink out. Everyone here is looking great. Taking that moment to stand all the way up at the top. Showing that finish position. 10 seconds. Super. And 3, 2, 1. And let's take a break in between legs. Instead of our hip circles, we're going to go into our figure 8s this time. Find your belly button. And now just imagine we're trying to trace a little figure 8s. Just kind of smile as you move here. It's okay if it's not perfect. And then just imagine now we're going to try to shimmy and shift the hips the other way. You can keep those hands on the hips, or we can go to Hawaii. Imagine we're just kind of flowing in the wind. Loosen it all up. All right, making your way back to the step stool, 15 seconds until we start our second leg, your more dominant side this time. This will be our last little bit of step ups, and then we'll finish with our sway. 3, 2, 1. When you're ready, here we go. Up and down. Nice. Squeeze that back side. Make sure you come all the way up to standing. Open those hips. Especially when we sit a lot during the day, we end up having what we call like a closed hip position, meaning we're a little bit flexed through the hips. That starts to get really tight on the front side of the hips, and we start to lose the activation of the back of the body. So we want to use this time to build that strength and keep the body open. And then think about these positions when you're living your life and standing around. Notice yourself. You find yourself kind of hunched down forward. How can you adjust your posture to stay tall? Good, 10 seconds. We train for life here, right? We want to keep our body strong, avoid any irritations. Last time, up, down, and take a pause. Good job. Got our sway steps to finish. And then we'll have our cool down stretch. All righty. So clear your space, walk your feet just outside the hips, draw that midline up and in, spread those arms nice and wide. And then when you're ready, shifting that weight, you can stay down on the foot, or you can come up onto that foot. Breathing in as you switch sides, breathing out, expand your body, get big. Yeah, good. Breathe in, breathe out. Squeeze the twitch of that trail leg. Got a whole minute to practice this, so just take your time. And then just notice that self-talk we have. Sometimes balance can be one of the areas that we get very critical of ourselves. We start to beat ourselves up. So practice turning any of those critical thoughts into some uplifting thoughts. How would you encourage one of your friends if they were struggling? Wonderful. 20 seconds left. I'm listening to a book by Twyla Tharp. She was 78 at the time that she wrote the book. She's a lifetime dancer, and she talks about the importance of us getting big, expanding, which seems kind of ironic, right? As a dancer, but that's what they focus on. They want to have that presence on the stage. All right, go ahead and shake it out. Round of applause for finishing out that circuit. Now let's grab a drink. And I really like her point when she talks about getting big, because if you think about it, she's like, when you're young, we are little babies, we crawl on the ground, and then as we get stronger and we get more developed, we stand, we start to open up through our bodies. And then as we age through life, what tends to happen? Gravity starts to pull us back down. We start to shrink down again. So if we stay big, we stay open, it's going to help our posture, which is going to help any kind of chronic pain. So a lot of times when we think about fitness, we think about trying to get smaller, losing weight, all this stuff, but we want to get stronger. All right, let's take into that cool down stretch. Feet about hip width apart, moving into our little tree branch arms. Just allowing the body to flow, nice circular patterns, flowing side to side. If you're comfortable to turn the head and neck, looking over one shoulder, looking over the other shoulder. From here, start to allow the elbows to bend a little bit and see if you can just let the hands tap against the torso, front of the torso, back of the torso. See if you can sink it in with that exhalation. And when the hands click, breathing out. This helps us kind of tune into some of our little kidney meridians, just kind of keep our organs awake. Keep all those organs working. Good, a couple more each way. And then we're gonna practice slowly coming to a stop, returning to those tree branch arms. I love some willow trees, those nice long branches that just flow in the wind. And then from there, we'll come slowly to a stop. Beautiful. Readjust the feet just a bit. And now shoulder circles up and back and down. You can bring the whole arm into it, bending those elbows up and back. Good. And then let's get a little bit bigger as we move here. Turn it into some nice big arm circles. Spread the fingers wide. And then as you reach in front of the body, alternate which arm comes on top. Breathing in as you reach up to overhead. Breathing out as you open. Good. Twice more. Breathing in. Breathing out. One more time. Fantastic. From here, we're going to open up those hips like we spoke about. They tend to get closed. So our stagger stance. If you want to mirror me, take a nice big step forward with your right leg, keeping your feet hip width apart. And you can go ahead and just kind of relax the heel down on the left. Good. Make sure that front shin is vertical, heel nice and planted. And now the hand of the trail leg. You can either reach it up to overhead, or we can go into what I call our I Dream a Genie arms up on the shoulders. So your choice here. If you are reaching up to overhead, shift that back hip forward. You can bring both arms up if you choose. And now we're going to add a little bit of a side bend, bending towards that front leg. But my really focus area here is the hip shift. So I want to squeeze this tush as I push that hip open, and then I reach up, bending to the side. I'm just opening this whole line of the body. Go ahead and come out of it for a second. Relax the arms down if you're reaching up. This time we're going to rotate towards that side. So either back on the shoulders or up to overhead. I get that shift of the hip, and now I'm going to turn my torso, looking over the shoulder of that lead leg. Hold for about 3 breaths here, breathing in, breathing out. How far can you look past that arm? And gradually unwind. Good job. Walk that back foot in between sides, little side step arm swing. Practicing that lateral movement. And once again, opening through the chest and shoulders. Good. All right, let's balance out those hip flexors on the opposite side. Long step forward, stepping back. Make sure you're not on a balance beam here. So wide base stance, rock that back heel down and make sure that front foot's nice and anchored. Either your I Dream a Genie arms or raise them up to overhead. Good, the shift of the hips, pushing that back hip forward. And the first thing we did was the side bend, bending the torso towards that front hip. So we just lengthen out all this tissue and fascia. Squeeze the tush. You can turn the gaze if you want to look up towards the ceiling. And then unwind, shake it out. Stay there for one more time. I'm going to show the I Dream a Genie arms this time. So arms up on the shoulders. Push that back hip forward. And now instead of side bending, we rotate. Turn the torso. Turn the head and neck. And breathe. Very nice. When you're ready, gradually unwind the body, walk that back foot in. And before we come down to seated to finish, we're going to do a standing toe touch. Soft bend in the knees, draw the stomach in, chin down to the chest, and nice and gradual. We're going to slide on down. Hi, Moose. See where that range of motion is now at the end of class. Sometimes you might find that you've gotten a little bit longer, your body's a little bit warmer. And then also it's possible that you might feel a little bit more stiff. That's not always as common. That's more common if you've like really kind of pushed the edge of your efforts. When you're ready, come back up from that forward fold and then meet me in the chair. All righty. Moose always likes to make himself known right in the middle of the mat. All right, as you come to seated, make sure you're sitting right up on your sit bones. If you are want to be on the floor, this would mimic like a child's position side stretch for anybody that knows it. Otherwise, as you sit tall here, you're going to bring one hand to the opposite leg. I like to really hold on to the seat of the chair so I feel secure. Draw that chin in. And now we're going to slide on down to get a little bit of a stretch in the side of the body and that lower back, a little bit in the upper torso and lat area. And use your breathing to enhance this stretch and also enhance your like lung capacity, breathing into the area where you feel a little bit restricted here. Breathing out, see if your body has a little bit more length to give. Twice more. Good. On that next inhale, gradually come back up to seated. And same thing on the other side. Hang on to the seat of that chair. One hand to the opposite knee. Everything strong as you draw it in and then slowly slide on down. Bow the head down as well. And then breathing. Typically, you're going to feel that tension in that side body where you're reaching away from. One more breath. And when you're ready, back up to seated. All righty. Good. From here, we did some overhead work today, so we always like to give a little bit more attention to the upper neck area when we reach up to overhead quite a bit. So let's go ahead and we're going to start with our chin to the chest, some flexion through the head and neck, looking on down. This should give you a gentle stretch on the back side of the neck. And then as you look up, you can cross the hands underneath the collarbones. Think about drawing the skin down just a hair, like a downward tissue pull, as I slowly raise the chin up, looking up towards the ceiling. Good. Bring to that twice more. Draw the chin in, going back down to that flex position, looking down towards the chest. If you'd like to just barely add a little overpressure here, think about the weight of a quarter, like I'm just barely touching the top of my head with my middle fingers, like I'm resting a quarter on the top of my head. It just gives a little bit extra stretch to the back of the neck. And then release. Same idea for the extension. Draw the chin in, lightly look up. Never, ever, ever forcing through the neck. The neck is one of our more delicate structures of our body. So we want to respect it as so. And then on this time, as we look down, we're going to bias our chin towards one side of the body and then the other. So draw the chin in, start by looking straight down, and then go ahead and think about bringing your chin towards your right collarbone. Good. And just as you do that, you should kind of feel the stretch a little bit on the left side of the neck. You're going to take the shoulder of that left arm, kind of roll it back, turn the palm up towards the sky. There should be a little bit more tension there. Good. Raise that head up for a second. Give a little bit of break, but we're going to go back to that side. So I've got my palm up towards the sky. I got this shoulder drawing back and down, drawing that chin in, lowering down towards that right collarbone. And then if you want, you can just, again, imagine that nickel or that quarter on top of the head, encouraging a little bit of overpressure and gradually coming on out. Good. Let's balance it out on the other side. Chin in. Now you'll come towards your left collarbone. Use your eyes as well, looking down kind of past your left hip towards the floor. You can take that right arm, roll your shoulder back and down, try to lengthen through your neck on that side of the body, palm up towards the sky. Good. Keep that palm up, but lift your head up and out of that position. And then we'll go there once more. Chin in, looking down towards the chest, and then bringing the chin towards that left collarbone. Option to incorporate the left hand, middle or index finger, the pressure of a quarter on top of the head, very subtle, and release. Beautiful job. All right, and then some neck circles to finish. Lowering the head down, rolling the head around. Two to three times one direction, and then gradually bring it the other way. You feel that urge to give a nice deep breath, maybe a little bit of an audible sigh. Just help relax your whole system. Beautiful. All right, everyone, sitting up nice and tall. We'll do our finishing breaths together. On the inhalation, we're going to raise those shoulders up and into the ears. This is where we tend to go when we get all stressed out and tense. So you want to kind of train that body, breathing out, draw the shoulders back and down. Good, breathing in. Elevates, breathing out. Relax, release the tension. Beautiful. Last time, breathe in some feelings of love, compassion, acceptance. Breathe out. Tension, stress, worry, all that negative energy. Good job, everybody. Just kind of wiggle through that body. move and shift anywhere else that feels stiff. A round of applause. Thanks so much for moving with me today. Remember to keep that hydration going even in those colder winter months. Try to enjoy some good vegetables for your body, help keep that immune system strong. You know, use all the power of Mother Nature. Our food is our medicine. So it really does matter like what we eat, because what we eat is going to impact how we feel. And just like how we move impacts how we feel. So it all interlaces. All right, everyone, take care and look forward to moving with you next time.